Yo, this is Dyson Knight, and this is episode 36 of the Sup'm Show. And this is how it's go. We gonna flow with the topic. Is it right to talk to your child instead of whooping their, you know what? Um, and it's a very controversial topic. A lot of places all over the world. In some sense, it's not legal, or you're made to believe that it's not legal to whoop your kids. But in factuality, a lot of places support it, and a lot of people support it. And the jury is still out on whether or not people are better off. People that have been whooped growing up are better members of society than those that have not been. So that's what we're talking about today, and I will be joined by my co-host, Mr. Juan Knowles of Knowles Wood Flooring, and Dr. Kent Bazard of Empire Fitness, as well as many other places. So I, for one, was a child I got whooped when I was growing up. I personally do not believe it changed or steered me in any direction. I think the discipline that stuck with me the most was when my dad sat me down and said, don't get any problems. I am with you. I support you as long as you don't get locked up for doing or selling drugs or any type crime like that. So, I stayed on the straight and narrow. That didn't take a whooping. And I feel like uh, maybe it's just me. Every individual is an individual and should be treated as an individual. Is different strokes for different folks. I don't, I hardly ever spank my kids. So I'm thinking, it's not a must. Of course, you have to go through the process of waiting until they're old enough to understand what you're saying. When you say do it, you can't expect a 6-month-old baby to tell you why they're crying and to stop crying, or to go to sleep when it's sleep time, or stay in the bed, or you can, certain instructions you cannot give to an infant. So you have to wait until they're older to be like, hey, okay, tell me why you're crying. Let's fix the problem. You're not crying for any reason. You're not hungry. You're not sleepy. You're not dirty. You didn't, pooping, having dirty pampers, like being dirty. You're not dirty. There's nothing wrong with you. Why are you crying? So yeah, you have to wait for them to be able to understand. But some people, in some of my research, have said that you start disciplining with the rod of correction, meaning a spank or a whooping, that early stage. Some people say that they flick the child's cheek whenever they bit them during breastfeeding, to teach them not to do it. Hard enough for them for it to hurt, and they would stop. I've read that some people spank their kids on the hands every time when they're crawling and they reach for a socket or something and they get spanked, and that's how they learn not to mess with the socket. So yeah, I don't want y'all to think that I'm being far off or wild in thought when I say you have to wait for the infant to be able to understand, as if you don't have the option of, what's up, Mr. Bazard? What's going on? Oh my goodness gracious. You don't have the link, do you? You certainly don't have the link. My bad, gents. So I got thrown off a little bit. All right, I'm in here. I got thrown off a little bit. I had to make a quick dash before the show. And I forgot to send my co-host the link. So let me do that right quick. And And the fastest way for me to do that is to send you guys for a brief message from our sponsors. After these messages will be. If you can sing that, the end part of that, you're pretty old. Just letting you know. All right, give me 2 minutes, gents. It's coming right now. Just got to pull it up on my phone. There we go. Back. Ah. Yeah, so maybe I needed a whooping today to get my my act together and send this link. All right, link is in the group chat, gents. Feel free to pop in when you're ready. Where was I? Whooping your children. Oh, I was saying I spank one or two of my kids, and I believe talking to them did more good than spanking them. But at least they had the fear that, spanking is a possibility. Are you able to get on? Let me know. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kent Bizard. Sorry about that, bro.
I thought you banned us or something, man.
My bad. I need some more light in here.
You're talking about cut skin today?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to get into. So, you down for it or no?
Yeah, I mean, I'm too old to get my hair cut now, so I can say what I want.
You think you too old?
I telling you. Only my mom could have possibly attempt that, and she's no longer with us, so I'm safe.
Right. Oh, so you could do what you feel like doing. All right, then. Cool.
Now, if she was still alive, I wouldn't be safe at all.
Yeah, so, Juan is here. What up, Juan?
Can't get that ass whooped. That's what's up.
Yep. Cut it in session.
Yeah, I deserved my cut up today.
This boy deserved cut up.
Oh. Dyson. Yeah, Dyson. You point Dyson just now. Good. Because I was good. I was good guy.
I apologize, man. I apologize. And I still ain't set up the way I wanted to set up. I just had, I had one of those emergency things that you had to dash out and do a 1-2. But anyway, these children today. I wanted to set up. What was that?
Feedback.
Hold on, let me see something. Why is that doing that?
You like hearing yourself, man. That's why I'm doing it.
It wasn't doing that before.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Look at you now. Oh my goodness.
The Sup'm show maybe help you.
You see?
I don't even understand.
This is
I don't
why
even understand why is this doing this.
This is why children need beaten. This right here. This is why children need beaten.
What is that?
It makes you a disciplined adult.
That's true. That's very true.
And if I remember correctly, you used to get plenty cut up in primary school, Dyson.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, and I don't think it did anything for me.
What you mean? Well,
I don't think I'm any more or any less disciplined. I think I could be a lot more disciplined, actually. I think what may have added a lot more to my discipline, and this is probably a good angle for this show, is a bit more stability. Because, I grew up with my granddaddy sometime, with my Grammy sometime, with my mummy sometime, with my daddy sometime. So I grew up between houses. I think more stability growing up may have made me a lot more disciplined. But I had to work hard to learn to lock myself into my commitments. because you join Pathfinders, and the next few months you spend with I'm living with my Grammy. I spend then I joined Pathfinders, and then for the next 3 months I'm living with my granddaddy, who is Pentecostal, and there's no Pathfinders. I have to join the marching band, and the marching band and Pathfinders meet at the same time, so you have to drop Pathfinders, and then there's a cycle of like starting things and stopping things and starting things and having to stop things. So you have to like, I had to build up that
Yep.
learning to commit.
You definitely need to cut it.
Yeah, learning to commit. Yeah, you couldn't cut my up at that because it wasn't my fault. I had to do it. I was the child. I went where I was told to go.
Take some
And I had to
accountability,
go
guys,
as-
tonight. I don't care
No,
if you're the
I
child.
take no, I taking no accountability for that. That's not on me.
I mean, I never. It was like a couple years ago when I first heard beating your kids referred to as corporal punishment. I thought that was a bit extreme, but I pretty much heard it from then on referred to as corporal punishment. I think that's a little bit extreme.
Keep
And
talking.
I think it's necessary to apply a little bit of negative reinforcement in the household. I think that children need to understand there's consequences.
Yeah.
For not adhering to certain behavior. There's consequences for not following instruction. There's consequences for not following the rules. Now, that doesn't mean there's a difference. For me, there's a difference between beating your child and abusing your child. Because you could beat your child without abusing your child, or you could beat your child without abusing your child. Is what I'm saying.
For sure. Right.
You see what I mean? So I don't.
Right.
So a lot of people believe that they're the same. I don't think they're the same. Because I don't ever think my parents abused me, and I got my behind cut. But I don't think I've ever been abused, ever.
Right.
What do y'all think? Y'all think y'all ever been abused? All us get cut up here. Let's not pretend like we ain't get cut up.
I deserve all my beatings.
I didn't. Growing up, I didn't get much cut up, bro.
No, it ain't much. I didn't get a lot. Tyson got a lot. I didn't get a lot. I only need. Because see, I guess I'm one of those kids. It worked for me. I was like, listen, this pain is not equal to whatever it is I'm trying to do. So I'm not doing it again. And then for me, it was that simple.
Yeah. Dyson was on some. One day I'll be free.
Dyson used to be trying to talk to the teacher while she beating him. He tried to talk. He tried to, you understand how frustrating that could be when you beating your child and they're looking at you talking. Like, why?
I can't even remember that.
Okay, I remember it directly, boy.
Yeah,
No problem. Can't remember. That's good enough.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Because I'm thinking, why didn't this boy shut up? Why don't he shut up?
But hey, I was stand up for your rights, but all day.
But I mean, like I said, there's a difference between abuse and cut hip, right? And you could cut your child hip without abusing them. And I think it's very important to understand that the child connects this punishment with this behavior. That's the most important thing. Whatever the punishment is, the punishment could be taking the iPad away, which works well with my son. You take that iPad away, and he ready to stand up at attention and don't move. So I mean, at the very least, though, children, I feel that your children should always be concerned about the possibility of violence from their parent.
Possibility of violence.
I might never do it because, like, I only had to spike Kia maybe, I don't know, less than 5 times.
Yeah.
And Kaylin twice, maybe twice, 2 or 3 times. You understand what I mean? No, he earned a lot more than that. But I'm saying, I found other ways sometimes. sometimes, a lot of times he just say, you know what, screw it. But a lot of times when he went way overboard, he found other ways to, and this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to establish authority. You have to stop. You have to, as the parent, you have to establish authority. Authority. Both
For
parents,
sure.
to some degree, are the disciplinarian, and one is the main disciplinarian usually. But I think I'm the main disciplinarian, at least physically. My wife is the disciplinarian, like in other ways, right? She's the one who sets the criteria for the most part. You know what I mean? But
Right.
see, as you see, is right. And then see, the reason why I don't like to spank my kids because I'm going to hit them very hard. So, so you know what I mean. So I have to be careful. You
I
know.
feel you.
So
Hmm.
when I spanked when I spanked Kalen the last time, like he was afraid of me for a couple of days.
Aw.
Like for a couple of days, like he couldn't look at me. He didn't want to talk to me. You know what I mean? So because he
Hmm.
never saw me angry like that. I got really angry at him. I shouted at him and I hit him. I beat him like 2 times within that sequence. You know, like you have 2 sequences. So it's like I beat him and then he was crying and stuff. And then I got mad again. Like
Spanking, spanking, spanking. Not
like two
beating.
minutes
Spank,
later, and then I beat him again.
spank
Yeah.
him.
And I used my hands too, and that was not my hands ain't as soft as they look. All right. So I hit him pretty hard. I hit him pretty hard.
In the states, I understand it's recommended that you use your hand and not an object. But that's over the years they've changed the law and changed the rules. But you are allowed to spank your children, but you're not
Really?
allowed to. Yeah, you're not allowed to bruise them. Whatever spanking method it's supposed to be only on the bottom, and you're not allowed
Spank,
to
spank him, spank
injure.
him, spank him in the head. So you don't show no bruises. See?
But there are people that give lessons online, bro, how to spank your children. And I get it. Like, I understand some of what I've read. I understand it. But some of the things seem a bit over the top. Um, okay, for instance, I was telling people earlier in the introduction, people that flick the cheeks of the child if the child is breastfeeding and it bites, right? And every time it bites, every time the child bites, it gets a flick. And then they learn not to bite. Now, I'm thinking, and this is how I feel about the overall subject. There's another way. If the child bites, what I know you can also do is pinch the nose, like hold the nose closed, because the child can't suck and breathe at the same time. They will let go of the nipple. They'll let
That's
go of the
Or,
nipple.
or possibly suffocate and die. So go ahead anyway.
No,
that's
they won't
all.
suffocate and die.
Yeah.
They
All
won't
right.
suffocate and die. But you just pinch the nose, right? And then they let go of the nipple. And
Like
every
I
time
did
they
the voice of
bite,
my hear this in my
you
life.
pinch
I
the
never heard
nose.
of it. Right? What's
Yeah.
your
Why not just pull them off?
No.
just take the titty out the mouth.
No.
You
Why
can't do
not?
it.
No. No, because the titty will come out in the mouth.
What?
What?
I'm talking about children when they start teething and things like that. They bite. I'm not talking about little kids when they bite down with
Bro,
gums.
by that point, you shouldn't be breastfeeding no more.
You don't think so? Some
Yes.
people breastfeed up until 3, 4 years old.
The only well, that's just someone that's anyway. You know what? Let me stay quiet.
But that's
Well,
the
I mean, that's a
problem.
good.
That's the
Right.
problem right there. Then
That's a problem in
But
itself, right there.
I
if they have
know.
teeth, then that means it's time for them to eat.
But
I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
But whoa, hold on. So if any females in the chat, right? Let me ask you a question. Obviously, I'm not a woman. I don't have breasts. I was about to say, I don't have breasts, and they don't have milk. So if a child keeps breastfeeding up to 5, 6 years, according to Dyson Knight over there,
3 or 4. I don't know about 5 or 6.
okay, 3 or 4, does the breast still produce milk?
Yeah.
How do you know,
Yeah.
Dyson? I don't.
I listen. I know.
No,
I've
it'll
heard.
produce as long as you stimulate it. As long as it's
Yeah.
stimulated to produce, it'll produce.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
You
get.
didn't
You
see
could
Game of
get.
Thrones. You didn't see Game of Thrones with the kid who's like 12 or 13, breastfeeding on the mother. So
Yeah.
as long as she has the hormones to do it, and you stimulate it, it'll produce. Yep.
Yep, yep. So, but I've heard in some cultures, like, I won't even talk about it, but there's some weird cultures out there. I'll just put it to you like that. Some growing people is beyond some breasts. Put it to you like that. But to an infant at that age having to be spanked in order to be disciplined, I think is like what we can focus on. We also talk about if they're crawling and they play with the sockets. And how do you get a child who doesn't understand English yet, or whatever language it is that you speak, to not touch the socket because it's a dangerous place? Some people say you spank their hands. I mean, I know what I did. There's these little plastic little things.
Yeah.
They cost like, a couple of cents, and you just push them inside the socket. Problem solved. Like you can child-proof the area, but some people would say, it's better to teach them that discipline through beatings.
Or just give them a bottom knife and let them find out.
Well, here's what I did, right? First of all, interestingly, I never had that much of a problem with as active as my kids were and are. I never had a problem too much
Same.
with them going into like cupboards and stuff like that. Didn't have that too much. We
Right.
we did do some child proofing, but for the most part, it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? And even when what I would do a few times once I thought they could comprehend a little bit, like I'm talking about 2 years old, 1.5, 2 years old, I would say to them, listen, don't touch, bad for you, or something like that.
Right.
And that worked maybe 80% of the time. Right? Like, and it's gonna sound, police ain't watching, but when we were at the old house, I used to have my shotgun right next to the bed, outside the safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought Kia over to the shot. She was maybe 3 or 4, and I said, "This is very dangerous. Don't touch it, okay? It's daddy's zone." And she never touched it.
Yeah.
Like, she wouldn't even go near it.
And,
So there
and that's my
wasn't-
thing.
Yeah. So
Go
I
ahead.
mean, but if she did, I would have disciplined. I wouldn't have beat her behind. But unless she kept doing it over and over again, the punishment also has to scale with. And that's the point I was making, actually. The punishment needs to scale with, one, what the activity or what the behavior was, and two, at what stage are you at in trying to create this behavior, right?
Mhm.
Or deter the behavior. So the first time your kid touched the socket, you don't take your
Mhm.
belt out and beat them to a pulp, right? You want to
Right.
start with, first of all, changing your tone. And that's one of the first things I start with my kids. My kids know my tone and my regular tone and my not regular tone. So I try to make, and I don't use it frivolously. So in that way, when you speak, you get the response you want most of the time. There's nothing perfect, but most of the time, your kids know when you ain't playing, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
so they should care that you're at that level, because they should know that there's levels beyond that. And when you get to levels beyond that, it's not pleasant. So they need to understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The problem comes when parents raise their level and the kid doesn't respond at all.
Yeah.
You raise your level, hey, put that down. And the kid look at you like, who are you talking to? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
that's the kind of thing that make you grab a stick and hit your kid with it. Right? Right? So, but you have to establish that from young. And if you don't establish that from a young age, once they get 13, when you say go to your room, they can say, "Mommy, carry you behind." You understand what I'm saying? That's what you're gonna get.
Mhm.
People wait until they're 13 and 14 to try to exert dominance or verbally over their kids, when you were doing that all along. So
Mhm.
they're not gonna do it at 13 or 14. They're not gonna respect you then. So, like I said, I feel that your your punishment have to scale with what stage you're at in getting the behavior. One, I think it should start with verbal and work its way up to, well, whatever you decide is is the maximum. And then two, it should scale with whatever the issue is. I'm not gonna beat my child to death just
So,
because.
so how do you all feel? Well, from what I see happens over here a lot, at least in Florida in the States, you'll see kids acting out in public in a store. And sometimes, and it don't matter the color. I ain't trying to make this about race, black versus white, whatever it may be. If the parent tries to reprimand their kid in public, how do y'all feel about other people getting involved, telling you what you're supposed to and what you're not supposed to do? Because I've seen some kids in public that truly deserve a severe ass whipping, bro. I'm talking about like throwing things off the shelf, telling their mom and dad to F off. And I talking about they're like 4 or 5 years old. And the store, whether it be Publix or supermarket, clothing store, is full of people. And while these kids going rampant and crazy, you're looking like you out of control. And I seen some parents just want to grab them and rip them in half, but they don't because you got other people around, whether it be other parents or just adults, will tell you, "Hey, what are you doing?" How do y'all feel
I,
about that?
I don't even know what to say about that because I know exactly what you're talking about. I've only seen videos. I've never seen it in person.
Well, no, what happened in
Um,
Brooklyn before I see it?
and
Yeah.
I've known my kids to have like tantrums, and if they have tantrums, I know how I deal with them. I don't really care because I don't really beat, but and then I don't know. My children never. They're just little tiny tantrums. Why can't I
Yeah,
have this?
mine never throw it to that level either because they know when they get home, it's brick
But
hands time. They already know,
yeah, you ain't cursing and screaming and throwing things off no
bro.
shelf. No, you
Let me
ain't
tell you
doing
something,
that.
bro. I've been in. I think it was Publix as a supermarket. If y'all don't know over here, maybe a year and a half ago, and there was a kid through a cereal line. The kid looked to be about maybe 5 or 6, with um her mom, and she wanted a particular type of cereal, and I was through the same cereal aisle getting something else. And her mom says, "No, you can't have that. We should have some home, bro." She looked her mom in the face and says, "F you," straight up. And I turn around, I was like, I don't believe this. And then her mom started like, "Oh, don't say that, bro." She grabbed her mom here and starts pulling that shit like you wouldn't believe it. And
But
her mom's like,
how old was this
the,
child?
the kid looks to be 5 or 6, little
Mm-hmm.
girl, and the mother
Mm-hmm.
looks to be about, I want to say, maybe maybe late 40s, late 30s, early 40s.
Got you.
And she's like, let's just call the kid Jenny. She's like, "Jenny, don't do that. That's wrong. I'll put you on timeout." And bro, she is slugging her mom in the face. And I'm
Hmm.
standing there like, "Miss, please pass your kid off to me so I can
Yeah.
suplex her off the top shelf and then hand it back to you." But
Listen,
bro, yeah, man, it happens.
I have a story for that too. So, my first Christmas season in college. I went to college in Florida, right? I lived in
Mhm.
Pembroke Pines, and this was Christmas time. You're walking through Pembroke Lakes Mall. It's 1995 now. There used
Oh,
to be a store called KB Toy Stores. Remember
I
that
know
store?
it. They shut down now.
Yeah, they shut down now.
Yeah.
So KB Toy Stores, it's Christmas, right? So they got like the little bins right at the front of the store,
Mhm.
with the new toys in it.
Yeah.
And it was, this was Power Ranger. Power Ranger was chief back then. So Power Ranger was it. Power Rangers was it. So all the new Power Rangers was there, right? Some new, they have like regular Power Rangers and some new Power Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Was there. And so I'm walking past. I was heading to Sears, which is towards the west, and the kid and the mom was coming towards me. Kid's name was either, I think it was Timmy. Is it Timmy or Jimmy? Something Immy. It was either
You
Timmy
know,
or
you,
Jimmy.
you know it's severe when you remember the kid's name from
I remember the
1995.
kid's name because of how long I saw them from so far away. The kid is on the ground,
Yeah.
like flailing on the ground on his back. He's flailing on his back, and honestly, it's the first time I ever seen anything like that in real life. Right?
Yeah.
It's me and my sister Gilda, bro. Me and my sister Gilda was walking, right? And so I'm walking, and when I reach up to him, and she's standing there, she's like, "It's Timothy, man." She's there, Timothy, Timmy, get up off the floor. I'm get up. She's there talking, and it took us a good couple seconds to get to her, right? Once we got to her, I stood over Timmy. I said, "Boy, get up." Timmy got up. Okay.
Yeah.
He stopped. He looked at me, and he got up.
Mm-hmm.
And she grabbed him and walked away.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That's what she don't do.
Yeah, but my sister told me, don't do that again.
Yeah.
She told me, don't do that. I said, why not? She said, don't do that again because, like, this country ain't like that. So don't do that again. And I wasn't as, nicely and dressed as I was now. I was probably dressed more like DMX at the time, right? So I ran and stood over him. I stood over him and I looked down. I said, Timmy, boy, get up.
Hey, Dyson. Yes, sir, master. Yes, sir. I will pick that card right now for you, master, right away.
No, but it pissed me off that his mommy was there, desperately trying to get his attention, respect, or whatever, and he was just completely ignoring and embarrassing her. And I just thought it was the most disrespectful thing I ever saw a child do to a parent.
Yeah.
And you know me, bro. You know I get in superhero mode sometime, right? I could not walk past that and not say something. So I had to say something, bro.
Yeah. I saw an ad. It was just an ad. One of them PSAs about child's safety or anyway, this is how it went. The young boy called the police for his mom. The police showed up at the house and say, we heard that a child has been, beaten, abused, or what have you. And the lady came to the door and she was quite frantic. You could tell that she was stressed out. You could tell that she was run down. And the police asked what happened, and she explained to them that she spanked him because of something he did. So the police called the boy out, and they said, he said, what happened? He said, my mom abused me. I don't want to be here anymore. And the police looks at him and he said, what did you do? So from that point, his face, his expression totally changed. He's like, oh, right. And he's like, she hit me. And they said, yeah, what did you do?
What did you do? Correct.
Yeah. And like he was taken aback by it. And when he explained what happened, this time the police officer was taking off his belt. And and he said, Mom, if you ever need to use my belt to get him in order, you just give us a call. And he pulled the little boy aside and he gave him a very strong talking to. So I think I say that to say, and I wanted to go back to a few points too. I say that sometimes it takes both. It takes it, and I think most times it should take both, because when you spank a child, the child should be able to understand why, or at some point in time they should learn a lesson why. Because like with the socket situation, if you're just spanking a baby's hand not to touch the socket, at which point does the child learn that you don't touch the socket because of Juan's method, which is give them the little fork, let them stick it in there and see what happens. At which point do you learn what the socket is for?
I didn't say a fork. I say a butter knife.
A butter knife, right?
This is right there. And then I'm dipping water first, and then to the socket.
So I'm talking about how young should you start disciplining your child, whether it be through beating. Obviously, you have to wait until they can understand what you're saying, and that's even debatable. But how old should a child be when you stop beating them? And that's definitely now a spanking or a beat. I know I got my first whooping I got my last whooping when I was 14. and it ended because I can't remember what it was for, but I know I was getting whooped, and I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't move, I didn't run, I didn't cower, I just took it, and I just took it until it was tired, and then and from then on, I think they realized that okay, the spanking ain't gonna work no more. This you're gonna have to try a different method.
Time to punch him in the face now.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to drop. It's time to drop kick him in the chest or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even at,
yeah, yeah.
but and that brings up another point. But before we move on, I'll say what the point is. Does that mean that spanking isn't always the right choice? Now let's go back to how young and how old. What's the
I mean, that's a tough question, but I would say once you start verbally communicating with your child, you can s- you you're approaching the time where you can spank them if you're not there already. But once you're verbally communicating and they can understand that hey, no is no. You know what I
hmm
mean? Um, Once they can understand that, I think that's where you start again enforcing discipline and reinforcing your authority or establishing your authority. That
hmm
could start from the breastfeeding instant too, but especially since we don't breastfeed as a father, um, I think kind of think that's where that starts. You know, when you speak to them, you have to change your tone, and babies recognize that. Babies are if you say something in a scary voice and a loud scary voice at a baby, they're gonna react differently to if you say it in a pleasant way and you say goo goo gaga, right? So
right,
if you say boy, get up, they're gonna realize they're gonna realize that you're not kidding. For me and Kalen is the point now. I just say boy, and he needs to stop doing whatever he's doing. Right? I don't have to explain. I don't have to explain the rest of it. It's just boy. But I'm saying though, so that's when you need to start, and whatever age that is, you start. I think you start the verbal communication, and when the verbal communication starts to become less effective, and you need to start raising the bar a bit, that's when you raise the bar. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's the same age. You can't put an age on. You may never get to that age because the kid may always respond to you verbally. You may never
right,
get there. You
Yeah.
know, or you may have to go there first because the kid may never respond to you verbally. you might get the kid might never respect the sound of your voice, and you might have to cut
right.
their head all the time, like my sister. So, 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 so,
You calling a lot of
so.
names here. You pulling
I
a
said
lot of
my sister.
cards.
I have three. I didn't call no name. I said my
Okay, okay.
sister. They know
All
who
right.
it is.
One, one, one of them needed cut up.
One of them got cut up until he was about 17 or 18.
Oh Lord.
I ain't even gonna take a guess. I'm just gonna leave it like that.
Anyway, I will leave that alone. Very young. Uh, but yeah, so it's hard. I think it's hard to put an age on that. I think you have to really dial into you have to have a plan. Like it has to be in your mind. I'm
Yeah.
establishing my position of authority in this house. Don't wait till the hormones start to kick in to try to establish authority. It's too late then. That's way
Mm.
too late.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between being abusive and establishing authority because you can, again, beat the child or speak to the child without being abusive and still establish authority. So that's my take on that. I like the RKO. RKO is nice.
Right, that all can you get from any angle.
Yeah, I think that's an effective maneuver. I think it's very effective. Yep.
I don't even know what RKO. I know what DDT is. I don't know what
One
RKO. No,
one time I got
so,
real mad and I picked my daughter up off the
ring
floor, right?
knockout.
Okay, I grabbed her by her clothes and I picked her up off the floor with one hand. And um, I could see her face to this day. And I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was borderline abusive.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hit her. I didn't spank her. I just picked
Mm-hmm.
her up and I said something to her. I said whatever I said.
So why why
Mm-hmm.
why do you consider that borderline abusive when a spanking didn't accompany it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm considering it abusive because I don't want her to be afraid of me per se,
So
Right.
but
would
I
it have been
wanted
better if you had spanked her instead of picking her off the floor by her shirt?
maybe
Let's say you took that same energy,
if I spanked her
what
at that
made you pick
time.
her up.
If I spanked her at that time, no, it would have been bad.
So would it have been abusive then?
Huh?
She
You said like, huh?
She gave you the puppy dog eyes and she ruined you for life. I could still see that face to this day. Yeah.
No, but I spanked her since then. I spanked her since then. But I remember that face, and that's the first
I
time
know
I
what you
saw
mean.
her. That's the first time I saw fear in her eyes towards me, and I didn't like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I had spanked her, I feel like I would have hit her too hard.
Then it would
Ultimately,
have
the
been
question
abuse.
Then it would have been abuse.
would it would
So
have
so
would
look, go
it
ahead,
have
Nathan.
been effective? Would it have been effective in what you were trying to communicate to her?
I was trying to communicate that I was extremely angry and I can really hurt you. I guess.
So don't mess. So don't do it.
So calm down or
Right.
whatever she did.
Go punch a brick wall next time, bro.
No. I passed that stage.
Hey, hey, hold on. I didn't say a sheetrock wall. I say a brick wall. Is it
Nah,
different?
nah.
Um.
See the scar there.
Yeah, I know, sir. I know.
So I mean, the question is because what I in the research today, I learned that the younger you start, the easier it is to raise the child. Like you won't have to beat them anymore past the age of 4 or 5 if you do it properly when they're from their infant to toddlers, right? Meaning 2 or 3 years old. And some of the things it said, like you said you hit hard. Some of the instructions was that you have to hit hard enough to make them think twice, pretty much, right? So you can't hit them soft and expect that they're gonna
No,
learn anything from it, right?
no.
But ultimately, what the research isn't conclusive as yet, but they can't say they're saying that whoopings do not have an effect on what the type of adult the child becomes, because the child will become the person that they are whether they were whooped or not.
Mm,
I know I believe that.
I
I
don't know. Yeah.
I I watched the last Creed movie, right? It was really good. I watched the last Creed movie, and in that movie, the star of the show,
By the way, I don't want you yet, Dyson. Spoil it though. It's fine.
I won't spoil it. I'll say the star of the show, he's subjected to abuse as a child, right? In the home that he grew up in, and when he became in his teens, he saw his abuser on the street, and he wailed his tail. Ended up becoming a boxer, right? So I'm saying he was introduced to the violence of aggressive discipline, spankings, beatings, and what it turned him into was a fighter. I think we do have to look at the lesson that is learned with children, because a lot of times little kids, when you see them interacting with each other, or even with you, they do what you do, which is they will go up to little children and spank them and be like, don't do that. Or if you're doing something they don't want you to do, they feel as though, okay, I can be in the disciplinary role and go and say, that's not right, don't do that. So if you tell a child, let's say, don't put the spoon there, and then you go and put the spoon there, and the child come and spank you, they learn that from you, but they didn't really learn that you are in charge. You
Exactly.
know, They
They didn't
learned
learn the
that.
action.
So,
Don't, yeah, don't.
so the approach was wrong. Your approach was wrong. What
Yeah,
for that parent, your approach was wrong. That means your spanking wasn't effective at all. If they think that we have the type of relationship where you could spank me and I could spank you, then they missed the whole point. So you never, again, you didn't establish the authority
right.
that you need to establish. Why is my
Yeah.
wife trying to embarrass me on YouTube?
Hey, listen, I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed for you because I know all of my daughters. They got me by a string. I just be towing behind them, doing
I don't let
whatever they
my
say.
daughter. I don't let my daughter get away with slackness, but I do think she is. If she does something at her age, she's 13. If she does something at her age that I have to spank her, that have to really be something out there,
Hmm.
right? And number
Right.
two, it's not going to be nice,
Right.
and I may be
Right.
very upset about it afterwards, but I'm gonna do it, and my wife know I'm gonna do it.
So
Like
I
like
mean,
if she tell me she's going by her friend's house and she go by some boy house, or something like that, I'm gonna cut her skin. I'm gonna really cut her behind. So
But
right.
okay, let me play devil's advocate here. So, do you feel by really cutting her skin and wailing her behind? And I think me and you in particular had a conversation on this before, Ken, when it comes to girls in particular. Um, do you think by doing that to that level is going to stop her from doing what she wants to do when you're not around? Or
probably
just
not.
for the moment it's going to stop her from even
Probably not.
thinking about an action again?
Probably not. But the main message I want to get across to her is not just the fact that um, she did something that was completely out of order or against the law, the law of the house.
Right.
But I also wanted to understand that she damaged our relationship
Yeah.
because I think we have a pretty decent relationship. Don't mind the pinky finger stuff. We have a decent relationship, I think.
Mhm.
And my wife could talk the pinky finger. She's the one who's get all the she gets the bad news first before I get it. You understand what I'm saying? So my daughter will go and tell her first before she tell me because she knows I take it a little differently, right? So I'm saying though, I wanted to know that this damaged our relationship, and I think my daughter values our relationship. I believe she does. So yeah, I'm gonna cut her hip, but I wanted to know that I'm cutting your hip because you broke the law. You broke the trust, but and bond between you damaged the bond between us, and that's the issue. That's the real issue.
I agree. I agree with you because one time, my youngest, Kaylee, Kaylee, they damn look alike. Seriously, dice. They almost look alike. Anyway, do the same thing, gymnastics, everything. They do the same.
Yep.
Right.
Anyway, I remember she did something a couple of years back too, and I got to the point where I string her up on the wall, too, Ken, by one hand, right off the ground, and she was like, she never saw me like that. Now, when I put her down,
Hmm.
she walked away, and I could remember I didn't speak to her like 2 weeks, like nothing, and she was legitimately depressed, bro, because she know how me and her we get along to the point
Right.
that she went crying to her other sister and said, "Daddy don't want to talk to me ever again." So I can't relate what Ken's talking about as far as the relationship bonding, where they
Hmm.
feel as if they broke a trust between you and them. So I kind of get that. You're absolutely right on that one.
But Wouldn't that happen um, without the spanking though?
I didn't spank him.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So we still at this crossroad now where
What
we're choosing
I
if the
don't think
whooping is
I don't think
necessary.
it'll be as impactful without the spanking
Hmm.
or the discipline. Let me not say this. It don't have to be spanking, but
Right.
without them saying that you're angry. If you just, oh, you know what, you really hurt my feelings. I don't think we're, you broke my trust, and I'm hurt. They
You have
can be
to,
like,
you have
all
to,
right,
hey, you have to have a look in the face too when you're saying it like that.
You know what I find though, and because it
Listen, I'm playing that back. I'm playing that scene back. The minute we log off, I'm playing that back, and I'm capturing that with the facade. Boy, that look was classic just now. I got you, boy. Ben,
this oh gosh, she caused me to forget now. This oh, what is it gonna say? All right, let's move on till it comes back. Oh, I was gonna do a poll between us three men, us three fathers, right? And us three fathers of girls.
yeah,
Well, it doesn't really matter. But
I think it
I
does.
find that no, but
Okay,
I'm trying to figure out something. You would say that your significant other or the mother of your child beats more than you do. Yes or no?
me,
Yeah, all of you, both of you.
yeah. She beat more than I do, but it's kind of different when it comes to me because if it gets past her and she doesn't have to whoop you, and it gets down for me to handle it, it's really serious.
Right.
If that makes sense. So
I understand that.
my kids would rather deal with her on certain things before it gets to me. Because if it get down, if she say, for instance, you know what, I don't even be bothered. Go to your dad. They ain't coming. I said already no. If she's not going to deal with it, and then it come down to me.
Hmm.
And I consider myself a pretty funny guy. I crack jokes with my kids. I actually play with my kids a lot. I literally play with them.
Hmm.
But they also know that when I'm not playing.
Hmm.
So when I bring that on, like, listen, I ain't playing with you. Like it's real serious right now. Like all fun and games off. They already know. So
Hmm.
I would say when it comes to spanking, though, more her. I had to spank my kids only a few times. To the point, like what Ken says, they know the look now when I give them. They know
Hmm.
keywords when I say it to get in line.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't have to do it anymore.
Right.
She still has to spank, even at this point, to get
What
to get them to fall in line. I don't have to spank anymore.
What about you, Kent?
I think it's her more for real. I think I agree with that. I think it's her more, but not by much.
Mhm.
I don't think it's by
Hmm.
much.
Hmm.
But maybe, yeah, I think so. I think definitely more. But again, I feel like I hit harder than she
Mhm.
does. I
Yeah.
hit them because she may hit them 5, 8, 10 times. For me,
Yeah,
it's no more. It's like three, babe. No more
that's
than that.
abusing. That's abusive.
One or
You're
two.
abusing her.
You in you so she never spanked you. You don't really know how hard she's hit.
Don't answer that. That was a thanks, and he was going to answer me though.
Well,
He was thinking. He was like, spank me. Oh, let me see now. Let me see. He was thinking. He was thinking, bro. You almost had it.
no.
Can I save you?
What I
I
was gonna
saved
say
you.
was, what I was gonna say was, I don't know if it's a kid. I don't know if this episode is supposed to be kid friendly or not. But I,
All right. Okay.
but
But you definitely hit harder. You hit harder. Okay.
I think I
All
hit
right.
harder. I've
Yeah.
had to hit less times. The only like I said, Kalen got probably two sets of three or four at a time. So that was kind of bad for him. He's crying for like 2 hours. You know what I
Mm.
mean? He's
Hmm.
crying for a long time. So I know I hit him hard. And I think I like sprained his knee or something because I really hit him hard.
What you do?
Hmm.
Throw him on the floor and put him in the figure four?
I hit him in the leg he was standing on. So I think it kind of twisted a little bit.
Right. Well,
Man,
I for me too.
But
I
because I
the
keep trying to
mothers.
turn, so I pull his pants down, and I put my whole palm on his butt, like pop. I catch him some good ones. I don't think he
Yeah.
ever forgot that.
The mothers in my life all beat more because even I got beaten more from my mom than I got from. I can only remember my dad beating me once.
same here.
Once.
Same here.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Once.
My
And
dad beat me with the other side of the belt.
oh
What?
yeah,
Yeah,
You
bro.
mean on the
yeah.
side?
You
The
guys him out
buckle.
in Walmart. Eh? Sound like you guys and pull down all the stuff off the shelves. What you?
No, I almost burned down the house.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he should have beat
I
you.
trust me. I earned that one. I
He
really
should
earned
have
that one.
yeah,
beat you with a tree from outside.
I earned that one. I earned that one. No, he
yeah.
actually he didn't beat me that day. He beat me the next day. He's like, "No, I'm going to sleep first." So he went home. He went to sleep, and
He said,
he beat me the next
I,
morning.
You have to power up for this one. You had to power up. Yeah, eat a good
Oh God.
breakfast the next morning.
Get the power down first. Wake up, power up. Come here, boy. Come here. Come here. Come here.
He probably was
Well,
in the room.
I mean, I
All
actually
right,
thought I got away because
all
I
right,
usually get up first, and I was still watching
all
my
right.
cartoons like regular, and I heard him get up, and I was like, okay, he didn't call me. I said, okay, he probably forgot. As soon as I say forgot in my head, he called me. To say, stop, leave
Yeah,
you with the buckle, bro. Never forget that.
but I don't know, gents. I mean, we rounded.
I'm picturing that, bro.
You roll
we
it the
we
other way,
rounding.
bro.
You want to touch the biblical side of it. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Quickly
Mm,
before we wrap up, and something Ken said earlier. He's like, it doesn't have to be discipline. Doesn't have to be a beating. So the argument now, the Christian argument is that I don't know what the other religions say about it, but the Christian religions say if you spare the rod, if you and they take it literally, it has to be a rod, or it has to be, in for island people, you go out and you pick your branch or you pick your switch. But they say it could be, a leather belt. I know I read that some churches in the States, when they would have their parenting classes, they actually it was a kit, a leather strap came in the kit, and that was what you were supposed to use to discipline your child. So biblically, Christians take it literally. You must spank these children if you're going to drive out the foolishness that lives in the heart of a child, or however it goes. Now, are we being us modern day people? Because Bible days was quite a bit ways back, right? And like children back then, I wouldn't think they have a different type of smarts. I don't know if y'all notice how 1 year olds and 2 year olds could find what they want to watch on YouTube without
yeah,
your help.
Yeah.
Crazy. Before they could read, you'd be like, well, how did you do that? You know what I mean? So would it be sensible in a modern world to disregard the old teaching and open up your mindset to this new age teaching of gentle parenting, or whatever you call it? I mean, should we? I don't even know if this is a fair question, but should we not take the Bible so literal when we look at discipline with a rod, as opposed to taking away the iPad?
well, you want me to go first?
Yeah, man.
I think it's absolutely necessary, depending on what they do. You can't, you have to let them know that there's consequences to certain things they do. Because if you don't teach them that rule or that lesson, the streets will.
That's
Somebody else
exactly
will.
what Ruckus is saying now. Yeah.
And the thing about it is, if you allow someone else or something else to teach them that valuable lesson, you may lose them. And when I say lose them, I'm talking about losing them in the physical as far as killing them.
Hmm.
So it has to start first within the home. Like Ken said earlier, it also has the punishment has to fit the thing they do. You can't go 100% on minor things and then 20% on things that, it has to fit. The punishment has to fit the crime, although it's not a crime, but so to speak, same example. So it's absolutely necessary. I think the Bible is 100% correct. And in my, you know, opinion, if I spared a rod, I must hit him with the Bible. Physically with the Bible. So they definitely need to take an ass whipping. Because, bro, do you know how it feels to be out in public and be embarrassed by your kid misbehaving and misbehaving to the point where they punching you in the face, sometimes spitting on you, pulling your hair if you got it, cursing at you, and people looking at you like, what went wrong over there? That's embarrassing, bro. Because I've
I
seen it on multiple
wish.
occasions, and I feel embarrassed, not for the kid, for the parent. But I'm not saying if you were to punishment or whoop them in the home, if it would change that action, but more than likely they would have something to fear. Let me put it like that. So they
Hmm.
would maybe think twice, or you could just be like Dyson Knight and be hard headed anyway. And while you're taking your ass whip and you're still trying to talk your face off. Maybe you like that. And that happens sometimes, depending on the kid. But more times than likely, it doesn't go down like that. If you give them something to fear, or let me not say something to fear, a consequence behind every action, 9 times out of 10, they'll ponder and think before they do it. I'm going to leave it like that.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
I think spare the rod, spoil the child is more concept than a rule. Um, and it kind of boils out to the same thing, really. Um, and essentially, what the concept is a rod is discipline, right? Firm discipline,
Mm-hmm.
firm, tangible discipline, right? So if you spare that, you will spoil the child. Now the thing is, like Juan said, and I think we repeated a few times, you have to balance that out with the actual behavior and the action that they did. The problem is a lot of parents are screwed up
Yeah.
from whatever their experiences were or whatever they're going through at this particular
Spot
time.
on, bro. Spot on.
You see what I'm saying? So their response will be way up there for something that's way down there,
Mm-hmm.
and you still end up spoiling the child.
Yeah.
Right.
Because a lot of children will repeat that behavior. That behavior will come back in some way. In the movie Creed, he turned into a fighter. That's great. He has a positive response.
Right.
Some kids will have a response like that that's kind of positive, but still, what you grow up with is kids who end up abusing either other kids or abusing other people of their
Yeah.
peers,
Right.
abusing their
Right.
wife or husband. By the way, last week uh, I had to deal with a husband that was abused by his ex-wife or attacked by his ex-wife. But anyway, so
Mm.
so but the main thing is, I think the key thing to remember is you can you can beat your child without being abusive, and you can abuse your child without beating them.
Yeah.
So you need to understand if you can do both of those.
Right.
So either
Hmm.
one or doesn't make it better. You really have to weigh the situation with your child. I think it's very important to establish that level of discipline, that level of respect at a young age as much as possible, authority. And as something to what Devron referred to in his previous comment, you understand, when these kids don't understand authority is when they get in trouble later on. Not even later, not even much later, bro. 12, 14 years old, these kids get in problems because they don't recognize authority.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got in trouble because I knew if I got in trouble, I wasn't care about the police. Like my parents, bro, my parents would kill me. Like,
Yeah.
my dad said, if you, he said, don't ever call me from a police station. Never.
Hmm.
He said, I ain't coming for you. Don't call me from a police station. So
Yeah.
that was very clear to me.
He
Hmm.
taught us to back you up. He tell all us that
He-
when he was hanging around.
we was together when he
We
said
was
that.
together all the time. He tell
We
us
was
that
all
if
together.
y'all boys ever get caught up in anything and y'all go to the police station, do not call me.
He said, don't call me, bro.
And you
No,
can't call my old man because my old man feel the same way.
you see, so the kids need to understand that, and I don't think they're gonna understand that with nice talking.
Yeah.
We need to get out of this era, this where we are in 2023, and all type of other social situations is where nobody wants to be offended. Don't talk hard to anybody. Uh, Everybody has to say nice things. Uh, you can't criticize or critique anybody. Everybody has to feel good. when you speak. You can't offend anybody. No, like Dr. Peterson said, if you want to sound intelligent, if you want to be an independent thinker, you have to risk being offensive. So you have to, for your kids to grow up the way that you want them to grow up, you might have to risk your nice, cozy relationship with them. You might have to risk that. You
Yeah.
can't be friends all the time. Sometimes I have to be your father all the time. I can't be your friend
Yep.
all the time. I have to be your father all the time.
Yep.
All right? That's me.
I think we said a good deal on topic, gents. I don't know if y'all have any final words.
Yeah, I got some final words for you right here.
All right.
So look here. So I don't know if the audience Dice now is going to put it out there like this right now. Check it out.
Yeah.
Now you can't like, oh shit.
I'm getting ready. I'm bracing myself.
So coming upon this topic right here, guys. Speaking to the audience, we pretty much chose this topic here on the fly. So next week, I'm just gonna say a little preview right now. See, Dyson already smiling right now. So next week, right, we're gonna touch on a very, 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 and I'm forcing the hand right now, so we're gonna have to do it.
I'd start the flyer now then.
I forcing our hands. We gonna have to do it because we say it now. We gotta stand on our word. So there was a video that was circulating on WhatsApp, right, and it was about a certain, how should I say,
Leader.
prophetess. Why some hold on, we ran off this now. Y'all can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah, I
here
can
we
hear
go.
you.
So no,
I thought you paused for
That was just
effect.
the silence.
No.
We can hear you.
Okay, so let me say it again.
Dramatic effect.
So there was a certain prophetess spookiness video that I saw. I said, "No, cut it out."
I know you good. You good.
Right, and there was a video, and she was actually performing a magical trick that was curing a rotten vagina. Okay, so
I already had the. Let me see
let's
what it was.
let's talk about that next week. If this is really a prophetess or a prophetess, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna leave it right there. Don't get your
All right.
feelings, people. If you're gonna hate anybody, hate on yours truly, because I love to hate. It makes me be the bad guy all the way 100%, and I love being the bad guy. I don't want to be good. I want to be the bad guy. So does Kent Bazarko, So yeah, so next week, the Sup'm Show, we'll be touching on prophetess or a prophetess. And on that note,
That block. All right, that's the Sup'm Show, episode 38. Is it right to talk to your child instead of whooping their you know what? So we'd love to get your comments. We feel as though as parents, this is a very dire topic. This is something that we should talk about more as parents collectively, and then we should sit our kids in front of the conversation and allow them to take it all in. From they can understand. They need to understand why they may get the whooping and why talking is really saving them from that whooping. And please, for goodness sake, keep your tantrums. Children, keep your tantrums at home. On that note, we out.